Hey everyone, it is October the 8th. It's good to be with you on Read Through the Word. Today we are taking a look at two men who cannot see. However, they will help us see. My daughter is an American Sign Language, an ASL, American Sign Language interpreter. And I've always just been intrigued by someone who was able to sign. And the Lord just gifted her with this, and she's using this for her profession, but she's also using this in ministry. But there are times when I have seen her interpret music. And it wasn't until I saw someone interpreting music for a deaf person that I really heard the song. Does that make sense? And I believe that that is the way we should look at today's lesson. With fresh eyes that cannot see. Because it is the blind men who will help us see these great truths about Jesus and His mercy. Mercy is something that God gives us that we don't deserve. That is what I've always understood it to be in its simplest definition. However, as it is used in Matthew 9:27, we see this. Eleéō, hopefully I'm saying that right. Eleéō, to show mercy as God defines it. As it accords or goes with His truth, which is defined as His covenant, which expresses God's covenant, loyalty, mercy, acting only on His terms. In other words, we're going to see mercy demonstrated in the life of these men, but mercy is given on God's terms that are in unity or in alignment with His covenant that He has given His people. And that covenant is life. It is life everlasting. Had He not given or restored, let me say that, had He not restored these men's sight, would His mercy still be awesome? Yes, because His terms of mercy are different than our terms of mercy. His definition of good is different than our definition of good. His definition of healing is in terms different than our definition of healing. So for these men, His mercy was in alignment with the terms of His covenant for these guys, was to restore their sight. And so I wanted to just share three or 4 points that we can learn from the blind men. And the one is kind of like, really? But follow Jesus. Follow Jesus. Well, of course we're going to follow Jesus. These men were blind. That fell fresh on me today. These men were blind, but yet they were following Jesus. They had heard about Him. They found out where He was going to be, and somehow they got to where He was. Now, we don't know whether they had someone accompany them, whether they, have one of those guides that they use to navigate. They use their other senses to follow the crowd. None of that is explained. Simply put, follow Jesus. That's really what faith is, right? And it's interesting that faith like this is demonstrated through men who could not see. Isn't it often that we want to follow God with all of our heart, but we want to see where we're going? We want to see the path before we say, yeah, I'll follow you. They followed him and had no idea where they were going. What a great lesson. The road was difficult, I'm sure. Even if they had someone guiding them or had an apparatus to help them navigate the terrain, it was still a difficult follow. But they did. And this was just one of those aha moments for me. Ask Jesus for help, but don't tell him how to do his job. They didn't ask for their sight. What did they ask for? They asked for his mercy. We want to be in alignment with you and what you want for our lives. Will you give us mercy? I would have to say I'm not blind. I've never been blind, and I've never been deaf. But I have asked for healing for myself for things and for other people. So I have to say, from a human standpoint, there is a part of our flesh that wants that physical healing, that hearing restored, that sight restored. So I don't want to say that they didn't imply that, and that's not what they went for. But a lot of times when we follow Jesus, what we think we want and what we think will make us whole and happy and content and satisfy us, after we follow Jesus for a little while and see his work, it's really not what we want after all. Something to think about for sure. Be persistent when we're following Jesus. They asked for his mercy, but then they followed him inside. That's pretty bold, don't you think? They had no idea whose house that he was going in because they couldn't see. And so they just followed him right on in the house. We asked for mercy and we're not leaving till we get it. Kind of like Jacob and wrestling with the angel of the Lord for a new name. So be persistent. If you have to go in the house, go in the house. And tell others what he did. Now, I realize that Jesus said, don't tell anyone. And this has always puzzled me because this isn't the first time that he has performed a miracle and said, hey, just let's keep this between us. And that puzzled me because naturally when Jesus does something in our life, the believer is going to want to tell someone. The receiver is going to want to tell someone. And it wasn't that Jesus didn't want everyone to see that they could see, but he didn't want the publicity at this point for people focusing on his miracles. He really just wanted his message proclaimed. And it's important as we read through the remainder of the Gospels and experience more healing and more miracles with Jesus, and we hear him say, don't tell anyone. This is why. He wants his message to be proclaimed more than, hey, I can make you better. I can heal you. I can cast those demons out. Yeah, that's a temporary thing here. But I'm offering eternal life. That was the message that he wanted proclaimed. Now, I don't know what happened to him for telling. Did they have any repercussions from that? We don't know. But it would be awful hard. And besides, you're walking back to your hometown with all of your people and they know that you see. What are you going to say? Oh, well, I just woke up like this. Yeah, when Jesus does something, we're going to want to tell about it. But I just saw mercy in a new way today. I want God's mercy. I want the mercy he wants for me to have. Not defined the way I define it. I want it according with his terms and his covenant and the plan and purpose that he has for my life. And that may mean difficulty. That may mean some suffering. That may mean loss. But he's faithful and true. to give me and to bless me and to guide me in places, bless me with and guide me in places too, where I am going to experience His fullness and hopefully learn more about Him and reflect Him more brightly wherever I go. We'll see you next time on Read Through the Word.